مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم.
So there's also hadith about that on the day of judgment everybody will be called with his imam, as in the Quran, Surah Bani Israel, it says, chapter 17, verse 71. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then Allah will, Rasulullah said, Allah will call a person and he will be given his book of deeds in the right hand, and he will be wearing a gown of the honor and respect, and he will be 64 arm length long. His face will be whitened, and his crown of sparkling pearl will be placed upon his head. So he will go to his companion who can see him from far place, and they will say, oh Allah, bring this one to us and let us be blessed by him, until he reaches to them and says to them, receive the good news, for that each man among you shall be the like of this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the glad tidings to people of Jannah that this is how you all will be. And then as for those who disbelieve, he says their face will be darkened, and he will be grown into the body of 60 arm, 4 arm length, and the image of Adam will be there. He will be given a crown, and companion will see him and say, we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of this one. Oh Allah, do not bring this one to us. He said, so when he reaches to them, they will say, oh Allah, take him away from us, so that they will be told, may Allah cast away indeed for each man among you into the likeness of this. So we should be mindful that on the day of judgment, we have a place where we will be given honor and respect, and we should not be belittling others by just for a moment of word. You know, the word is a moment. As long as it's within our tongue, it is ours. Once it goes out, it becomes others. कहते हैं ना, जबान में जब तक रहती है, मुंह में बात रहती है, अपनी रहती है, जब निकल जाए जबान से तो पराई हो जाती है. Then that leads us. Before that, we leave the talk. But then once the word come out, then they lead us. So another hadith, Abu Musa Ashari radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said that Allah created Adam from a handful of which he took from the whole of the earth. So the children of Adam are in accordance with the earth, some red, some white, some black, some mixture, also smooth and rough, bad and good. This is another hadith. So we know that this hadith is from Abu Dawud, 2275 hadith. So this is how we know. And then another hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud, 4693, another hadith, similar wordings. And let me read you because of the time. We will talk about it later, because this hadith has certain connotation which will not be just appropriate to discuss in this discussion. Then another hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud, 4693, in which Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, Allah created Adam from a handful which he took from the whole of the earth. So the children of Adam are in accordance with the earth. Some are red, some are white, some are black, some are mixture, some are smooth, some are rough, some are bad, some are good. This is repeating of the same hadith. And Sunan Ibn Majah 362 hadith, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger said, the best thing with which you can dye your hair is black dye. You need the black color. The black dye is something to look younger. It makes your women desire you and create fear in the heart of your enemies. So looking aged for no reason is not recommended. Some people like to look old. It is not appropriate to look older than your age. And we know that because of the stress in our life, but something are genetic. We are getting gray, and we should be using color if we feel comfortable to use it. Not that it is recommended. The Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith is you should color your hair if you want to be looking good for the family. So that way it will be appearing good. You know, there is no need to look yourself to be wasted. Another hadith in which Bukhari 2545, in which it says, Prophet asked me. The Sahabi says, Prophet asked me, did you abuse him by slighting his mother? This is Abu Zar Ghafari radiallahu ta'ala anhu hadith, which I was mentioning earlier. Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu was called by Ibn Aswada, that his mother was a Abyssinian African woman. So this is Abu Zar Ghafari radiallahu ta'ala. So then Rasulullah called Abu Zar and he asked him, did you abuse him by slighting or slanging his mother? He added, your slaves are your brethren upon whom Allah has given you authority. So if one has to be brethren under one control, One should feed them with the like of what they eat and clothe them with the like of what they wear. You should not overburden them with what they cannot bear, and if you do so, help them. And this is what happened, that Abu Zar Ghafari, after that, he started dressing his slaves the way he would dress. And this is what a change happened into him after learning from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So now coming to this, what is the first and foremost teaching of Islam is monotheism, which is Shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is nothing allowed without this. And then the second thing Islam teaches orthodoxy, just not orthodoxy, orthopraxy, which means a goodness and good action and deed. In Islam, a skin color of a person is not the curse of Ham, or it is a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the difference in languages is not the punishment of Babel, it is the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As they say in the Bible, that the Babel cursed because of whatever you hear the story about it. In Quran, it says it is the sign of Allah, it is a sign of Allah, and you do not violate the sign of Allah. It is this is something to understand, that if I disrespect myself or anybody, I'm disrespecting the sign of Allah, because we all are the signs of Allah. And what is the race and color of a tribe? Of ruh. There is no tribe and there is no color of a ruh. And every one of us have a ruh. And these ruh are the one which makes us a person. It's not the outside, it is the inside, the content of person should be. And as I mentioned earlier, sha'ab in the Quran, the word is used sha'ab, which means a race or a nation or a country, and tribe, which is qabila, which may be founded in the nation. People have multiple tribes and family heritage, and this is done. Tribalism can be defined as a people of same lineage. And ummah include all men and women of a nation in which all the people of it could be a far place, but they believe in faith. They are the ummah. Ummah is the one who believe in certain faith and certain beliefs and practice that way. So people of Indonesia are our brother, as people of Africa and Europe and everywhere in the world are our brethren and our sisters who are into the same faith. So they are our ummah. And ummah is like a body. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if a little pinky hurts, whole body should feel the pain. So we should feel the pain of our brother in Palestine, in Afghanistan, in Kashmir, in other part of the world. So we should be mindful of that. So a hadith, another one, a hadith, a Sahaba came and asked, Man akarman nas? They asked, Ya Rasulullah, who is the most honorable among the men? He replied, very brief word, Atqakum, whoever is conscious of Allah. They said, Laysa an haza nasalu. They said, no, we didn't ask you that. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, oh, you're talking about heritage. Yusuf alayhi salam bin Yaqub alayhi salam bin Isaac alayhi salam bin Ibrahim alayhi salam. Means prophet, son of a prophet, son of a prophet. He was the most honorable man, because Yusuf alayhi salam had four fathers. Four fathers of his grandfathers were all prophet, and they were just not prophet, they were also Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they said, Laysa an haza nasalat. No, we didn't ask you that, Ya Rasulullah. They were asking something more than means the person's race. Alright? So then an Arabi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, you are asking about the Arabi? So he said, Khayarakum fi jahiliyyah, khayarakum fil Islam. So whoever is good in the Jahiliyyah, ignorant faith time, they are the best among us when they become the Muslim. So we should honor and respect. And then he said, La fawq al-Arab ala al-Ajam wa la fawq al-Alam ala al-Arab illa bit-taqwa. And another hadith, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Inna Allah la yanzuru ila surikum wa la amwalikum, walakin Allah yanzuru ila qulubikum wa a'malikum. You see, it's such a small thing, but it negates completely. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your faces, no matter how beautiful and ugly looking you are. But He does not look at your wealth, how rich and poor you are. But He looks at your hearts. The purer the hearts, the better you are, and your deeds, whatever amal you do. Now, we can go to some of the people. Now, just saying is easy, but he proved it in his life. Ayman radiallahu anha is also known as Barakah. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says, she is mother after my mother, because Barakah, Ayman, took care of him as a mother, and she was an African lady. Then Sumayya, Yasir radiallahu anha, is a first martyr, and she was an African lady. She was a black lady. And then Bilal bin radiallahu anhu, what honorable Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu was. Just look at that. He was a slave. When he was being bought by Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, his master said, why you're buying him? You can buy a better slave for 6,000 dinar. He says, you don't know the value of this man. Now listen to that. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, what did he make him? He made him the first muazzin of Islam. He was the first Muazzin. Just imagine, every time Rasulullah is leading the Salah and the Muazzin and Bilal, what an honorable place it is. When we do the azan in the masjid, we think we have an honorable place, but the Bilal radiallahu ta'ala no is the muazzin, the first muazzin. And he was just not a muazzin. He was also the director of Baitul Mal. Anybody who needs something has to go to Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu to get the thing. So he was made another position. So just this slave who was freed was not just made free and leave and without any support. Rasulullah made him the muazzin of the Rasulullah and Masjid of the Nabawi. And when Fatah of Makkah happened, he opened the Makkah. He took him with himself and he told him to climb over the Kaaba where all the Arabs were very much hurt and humiliated. And he said, Bilal, make the azan. And the Abyssinian slaves standing on the Kaaba, which Quraysh could never imagine in their wildest imagination, that an African Abyssinian slave will be climbing up there where they would not let even Arabs to enter the masjid, where they stopped entering Rasulullah to the Masjid al-Haram one time. They wouldn't allow him. And now Rasulullah made him to stand up on the Kaaba and make the azan there. And then he was the doorkeeper of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How? Anybody, even Abu Bakr and Usman and Ali and Umar radiallahu anhu, and any Sahabi, when they want to come and meet with Rasulullah, they have to tell Bilal, Bilal, we want to meet Rasulullah. So Bilal would go inside and ask the permission of Rasulullah that they can come or not. You see how much time Bilal radiallahu anhu used to spend with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That is the honor Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave to Bilal bin Rabi'a radiallahu anhu. An interesting thing that, it was not just that he used Bilal for this purpose. When the first immigration happened, and people went to Abyssinia. When they went to Abyssinia, Bilal radiallahu ta'ala went with them because his mother was from Abyssinia and he understood the culture and he understood the tradition of those people, and he represented them and he became the ambassador of Sahaba. Among them, Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu was among them. Usman was one of the very strong Sahabi and he had a friendship with his other people. And there was nobody who had heard him or there was any risk of his life. Because I'm saying so, because when Sulh Hudaybiyah happened, when nobody wanted to go to talk to the Quraysh because they all had spoken so much about them that they thought the Quraysh will capture them and assassinate them. Even Umar radiallahu ta'ala said, Ya Rasulullah, I have a lot of hatred among them. They will not like to negotiate with me and they might even kill me. So Rasulullah chose Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, who stayed there. And when he went there, they told him, Usman, you can do the Umrah if you want to. And the love of Usman for Rasulullah was that he said, unless my Rasul is there, my Prophet beloved is there with me, I will not do the Umrah alone. He stayed there for 3 days and Sahaba thought that they have died. They killed him. There was a rumor. And Rasulullah took the Bayd al-Ridwan, which is all detailed with total detail. So this was the position of Usman radiallahu anhu, yet he had to immigrate to Abyssinia. And the king of Abyssinia, Najashi, when he died, he was also African king. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did the Salat al-Ghaibana, I think it was at the time of Khaybar, when he got the news that Najashi had died. So Rasulullah performed the Salat al-Janaza of the Abyssinian king, who was the Muslim of that time. And we should understand that Rasulullah did not just made the black slave free, whatever white slave or any other slaves. He just made them also in the use. He used the best of the ability, best of the skill of those people and used them in the best manner he can to make the benefit out of them. So then there is also a story about Usama ibn Zayd radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was the son of Zayd bin Harisa. Zayd Rasulullah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, some says he was a very light skin, some says he was dark skin, but his son Usama ibn Zayd was very dark skin. And he used to be playing with Rasulullah on his lap with Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anhu. This is very interesting part, that he would be in the lap and shoulder of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was the one Jaish Usama when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, and Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he hold the rein of the horse of him and he said, mount on the horse. He said, I cannot, because you are the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, no, you mount on the horse, to show everybody that when Rasulullah decided Usama ibn Zayd will be the leader of the army of the Muslims, he took him and walked all the way to the city limit of Medina. So this is how honor they gave to these people, where race and color was not in all distinction among them. Even though whenever there's somebody called Ya Shi'ar, means, oh my race or my nation, come. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when Aus and Khazraj had this thing, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam became very angry and upset when they called for that against the Muhajir. And this is where Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam called them in Hajjatul Wida, that Rasulullah was giving away the things to others. There are so many things to talk about, time is very limited. I'm just moving along with that. So Sa'ad ibn Aswad was a very dark colored Sahabi, and he was so much dark colored that nobody wanted to have his daughter be married to him. Amr bin Wahab was the chief of the Banu Saif, and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam personally went to the father and asked for the hand of the daughter, and he thought that he's asking for the hand of daughter for himself. They were very happy. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, it is not for me, it is for Sa'ad ibn Aswad. And they were very much disenchanted, and they were just overwhelmed. But this is Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, make them feel that they are not less than anybody. This is something very important, not to let a person feel indignant. And there was one Sahabi, which is unbelievable story about Julaybib. Julaybib radiallahu anhu was not just very unsightly, was not very good looking. He was darkest of the dark. He was the most unpleasant looking face. Very, I should not use the word ugly, but it was somebody they did not want to look at him. And he had no family. He had no father, no mother, no tradition, no tribe. And people used to be known with the tribe and heritage and everything. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam used to treat him with the utmost love and respect. Whenever he would be there, Rasulullah sallallahu asked him, Julaybib, you sit by me. Julaybib this. And one day he said, Ya Rasulullah, Nabi sallallahu asked him, why don't you get married? He said, Ya Rasulullah, who will marry me? Julaybib said, who will marry me? Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam sent him to the most respectable, honorable family there, who was a chief of the tribe family, and he said, go and ask them that I have told you to ask the hand of his daughter. When they heard that Julaybib has come for asking the hand of the daughter, they thought Rasulullah had sent the invitation for the marriage for their daughter. They become suddenly excited. Then he said, no, Ya Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, you should marry your daughter to me. When they saw Julaybib, even the women inside the home, they shouted. They said, Julaybib, never, we will not marry our daughter. We will not give our daughter to Julaybib. He's so ugly looking, he cannot be given his daughter. There's a lot of story about it. At the end, what happened is, the daughter, when she came to know about it, she said, I will marry this man because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it. So Sahabi gave the money for the wedding, and everything was arranged, and all this thing was prepared, and the call of the jihad was made. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam and Julaybib went for the jihad, and a lot of Sahaba made it, and there was a victory to that. But when they counted all the Sahaba, everybody was there. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ask for everybody is there. They said, yes, everybody is there. They said, I don't see Julaybib. Where is Julaybib? And they found Julaybib radiallahu anhu. Body was, he was Shahid, he was martyred, laying between the 7 other people. So he killed them, and he died in the path of Allah. And that lady was not married to him. But this is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took this respect. And Rasulullah give him kafan, dig his grave, and put him in the grave, and made the dua, Allahumma haza minni wa ana minhu. He said, he is from me and I'm from him. So this is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated his slaves, those African people, those who were not from the Arab tradition. He used to call them, they are my family, and it's very harsh. We Pakistani, we are still divided among, Punjabi or Muhajir or Balochi or Pashtun or Saraiki or this and that. We are still taking pride in those heritage. And we take Arab and Ajam and Turk and Iran and Turan and Falan and Fulan. This is all has no value. As we see the realities, right? We were born naked, and we will be dying in one kafan, and we'll be buried, and Amal will be the one which will pay us that where we will go. So there was a lady, her name was Mahajan, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and she used to clean Masjid al-Nabawi. And you see, women clean Masjid al-Nabawi. This is my point to you. This lady, she died in the night hours, and Sahaba thought Rasulullah will be sleeping, do not bother him, because she is just a cleaning lady. So what they did is they made her funeral, and they prepared her grave, and they buried her at night. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he woke up in the morning, then he came to know about it. He became very upset. He said, why didn't you let me know that she had passed away? They said, Ya Rasulullah, we didn't want to disturb you. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to his qabr. According to one information, he made the dua at the qabr. Another narration, I think I'm not sure about it, that he made the salat al-janaza himself again. So this may have happened one time. And then we know that Suhaib al-Rumi radiallahu anhu, when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the one who gave everything which he had in Mecca when he immigrated. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam told him when he arrived to Medina that you made the trade with Allah, because Quraysh said that you made your living here, leave everything. If you want to go alone. And he came, he made the muhajir for Allah and his Rasul. And then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, Suhaib is from my family. And Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu, there's a whole lot to talk about him. There's so much to talk about him. One most honorable thing about Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Salman is min Ahlul Bayt. He is among mine. He is the one who had 120 years of age. At age of 60, he came into Islam and lived for 60 years. And he was child and teenager when he left his home from Persia, ran away with the monk. 60 years he lived in the Christianity, looking for the Tawheed. And he was in Islam before the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because at that time he was muhid. He was looking for it. And when he was last priest he was with in Basra, when he was about to die, he told him to go to Medina, Yathrib. There is a prophet will be coming. And he came to Yathrib, and he was looted. He was looted and made slave again. And he was sold to a Jewish landlord in Medina, and he used to work for him. And then he became Muslim. So much to talk about. Wallahu Allah, Allahu Akbar. So much to talk about Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu. There's so much about him that karamat and mu'jizat happen. The time is limited, so I will go further on. Then there is a hadith, Man afdal an-nas qala al-mu'min at-taqi wa fajir al-shaqi. The best among this, the moment who have a taqwa, and the fajr who has a shaqi heart, who has a darkened heart, he has no place. Another thing, Muhammad bin Muslima, in Khilafat al-Rashida, during the Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu's time, he was the governor, he was an African man. Then the first mufti of Makkah, his name was Ata bin Rabia, he was also African man. Tariq ibn Ziyad, who conquered the Spain, he was an African man. And Mamluk, you see slaves and all those, they're different. It's Mamluk, Qutbuddin Aybak, we know about the Qutub Minar in Delhi. That Qutbuddin Aybak is the one who made the Qutub Minar, and he came all the way from Egypt, defeated the Mongols and Tatar all the way to the India, and established the first established government of Muslim in India. And this is what we have. So for us to understand this, to implement it, we need to judge a person on his or her ability, on their personality. If somebody is less of them, do not insult them, do not disgrace them, do not dishonor them. Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, once he was in a place and a man came in and he started insulting him. This is for our leaders to understand. He started calling him things and insulting and keep irritating him. So Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu ta'ala anhu looked at him after he was done. He said, do you intend to excite me, anger me, annoy me to the point where I would use my authority and punish you and torture you and take revenge? And the day of judgment, then you will come as a Mazloom, and I will be presented as a Zalim who did this to you out of no reason. So we should be very mindful of it. And he said, I let go of you. And he said, I'm not going to do anything no matter how much you insult me. So leadership requires a lot of taking it. Leadership requires a lot of beating taken and not to be. Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, we say he is one of the Khalifa Rashidin. I don't call him fifth because fifth was Hassan radiallahu anhu. He should be called as a sixth Khalifa Rashid, because Amir Muawiyah is an Amir, not Khalifa. Nobody accepted in the Muslim Ummah Muawiyah radiallahu anhu as a Khalifa Rashid. So that's another topic to discuss. So Umar bin Abdul Aziz, one of his governor put one of the men in prison because he was talking against the Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu. So he was going to behead him. So before that, he thought maybe I should ask Amir what he should be doing for his man, violating his respect. So he sent him a notice. When the letter came to Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, he replied. He said that had you killed him, you would have been the murderer, and I would have put a judgment on you. If the man just insulted me, just tell him that I'm not like that and let him go of it. There's no need to punish him, because people can speak anything what they want. It doesn't mean we should reprimand them, we should torture them, we should punish them, we should take revenge from them, because people speak a lot of ill things about people. And if you start responding to every stupid idiot comment in the world, that leads to the battle. Itfa billati hiya ahsan fallazi bainaka bainahu adawatan fannahu Khalil, उसकी पूरी आयत मुझे याद नहीं आ रही. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala हमको message दे रहे हैं. We have a message from Allah that we should treat the evil with the goodness, and that is one of the way. Look, we are not talking about being stupid. We are not talking about being ignorant. We are not talking about passive resistance of Gandhi. We are not Gandhi. We are not Hindu. We are Muslim. And racism, as today we see the result of racism in India. Hinduism is totally based on superior and inferior race and caste. In America, after being such a civilized nation, after being so advanced and educated, they still have a racial divide among the mankind. There is no need for anybody to like or not like. There is just do not deal and insult the other person. Do not humiliate them. Do not kill them. Do not belittle them. Do not treat them that less than anything. And I think there are good things in this country, as we have seen any bad side of this country, that we have seen Obama, who was a son of an immigrant African man, and he became the president of this country. And we see another person who is in the White House who has been very arrogant, and many times he has done things which are not appropriate to human dignity, yet he has been also been accepted. So people should be judged on their personal character, how they are, what they are doing, how they treat humanity. And I respectfully ask everybody, and I know, brothers, sisters, many of you belong to one of the Jamaat. I do not belong to any Jamaat, and I do not want to put a label on me that I belong to this and that group. I'm a Muslim with the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat. That's my Jamaat. I like to know there are Tablighi Jamaat, there are Jamaat Islami, there is Barelvi, there is a Deobandi. You see in Pakistan how many people in India are hungry and Muslim and suffering and destitute. Have you ever heard any one of them have made a yatim khana? Any one of them made a school or college or university? Anyone provided charity to the needy and poor? Eidi, Chipa, this or that. I mean, you hear everybody who is not belong to these organizations, their goal is to convert people and make them to their group. And then we start building walls among each other. I'm not disrespectful, brother. This is my personal observation. You can talk to me if you don't like my comment. Please do not call to the administration. It is none of their thing. It is my personal thing. We should live beyond this discrimination of groups and tribes and people. We are all Muslim. We should respect each other. We should honor each other. We should respectfully disagree with each other. We could honorably disagree with each other. We should be mindful and we should grow out of our own prejudices. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.